Hi, and welcome to the latest in our series of podcasts with Shaw Consulting Director Chris Shaw. Today, we're going to be having a chat about IT procurement. You might argue it is the most critical part of any new IT system, as if you get it right then, new systems will ultimately do what organizations want them to do. But if you get it wrong, then it can be very costly. So Chris, what's your experience of supporting procurement projects, and why do housing associations come to you for your support in procurement?
Well, we've been providing consultancy into the housing and care sector for over 20 years now. And over that time, we've been managing procurements of all types of systems, whether it's the underlying infrastructure or the applications. People use us because of our expertise, and they might not have that detailed understanding in how to manage a technology procurement. We know what needs to be done. We can bring in that art of the possible. And our knowledge of the different procurement routes can really help secure the best outcome for the customer. We're regularly managing these procurements for lots of different housing providers. So we build on that knowledge. It's constantly evolving as technology changes and new systems come to market. And I think the most valuable thing for our customers is that we are completely independent from the supply side of the solutions. So we are working for the client, we have their best interests at heart, and we can give them that true unbiased view on what is best for them.
And what would you say are the 5 most important factors to consider in IT procurement?
I think the first thing is starting off with that clear understanding by all stakeholders of what the replacement solution is going to deliver for them and what issues it's going to resolve. Secondly, you need to get an active involvement from all those key stakeholders and the effect the end users throughout the project. We need to make sure that we've established that clear set of requirements, which details both the functional areas of the solution, what's it going to do for them, and then those non-functional components. How's the system going to be installed? Who's project managing it? How's it going to be supported once it's going to be delivered? Once we've got all of that, we then need to clearly detail an assessment criteria shared with all interested suppliers. So they're fully aware of the process that we're going through. They know how we're going to be measuring their tender response, and that keeps it completely transparent. And then finally, just choosing that right procurement approach and route is key to the success of that IT procurement.
So what role do you and your team play in these types of projects?
We're usually appointed to manage the procurement from start through to completion. So this involves engaging with the business through the one-to-one meetings, having workshops with wider teams to understand what they're doing now, what's missing from their current system, how they would like to operate in the future. And based on that understanding, we then bring our knowledge and expertise to this process to provide that challenge and discuss areas of technology which they might not have thought through, which could really streamline or remove some of the old processes. Once we've captured all of that, we then start to pull it together into a detailed specification of requirements. We tend to include details of who the client is, what's the vision for the project, what are the outcomes the replacement solutions looking to deliver. We then describe the detailed tender process that we're following and how the tender will be evaluated and the timescales that we're working to. The new solution that is coming in to the organization, it needs to fit with the existing infrastructure and system. So we'll describe what that is, what integrations or interactions that solution needs to have with these existing systems. And then we get into those detailed requirements, what the solution needs to do. We classify those requirements by level of importance, like high, medium, and low. We provide a pricing template, and we'll include any supporting documents. And this could be like volumetric information of how many users are using it or how many transactions an organization's processing, things like this. Once we've got all that document put together, we've signed it off with the client, we'll then publish the tender. And sometimes that's through our own e-procurement system. Once it's tendered and published, the suppliers will start to express their interest in the tender. And they might want to ask some questions about what's in the tender or clarify something. So we'll manage that questions and answers stage, making sure that any answers that are provided are shared with all registered suppliers. During this period of responses being received, and being developed by the suppliers. We'll put together an assessment spreadsheet, which the project team will then use to assess the tenders when they come back from the suppliers. We'll work with the project team to analyse these responses. We usually ask the customer to ensure that they have at least 2 or 3 people assessing the tenders on their side, and then we'll bring together those individual responses to agree a consensus score. We'll analyse the costs, and then based on the analysis of the quality side of the response and then the cost side, we'll bring that together to determine a shortlist. This shortlist is then usually invited in to provide demonstrations. We'll work with the suppliers to make sure they're clear on what they need to demonstrate. We'll usually put together demonstration scenarios with the clients, which the suppliers will be sent. Once we've had these demonstrations, that usually leads us through to a clear outcome of who is the winning supplier and which is the winning solution. And once we've decided that as a project team, still aligned back to the clear quality and pricing assessment criteria, we'll then publish the contract award notice and make the suppliers aware of the outcome, whether they're successful or not. We've been managing all types of procurement, anything to do with the infrastructure or the IT systems or the IT service an organisation would need. Traditionally, it's been more on-premise systems, but there's been a big move to the cloud, and we're adept at managing those types of procurements. We've even managed procurements in selecting internal auditors for one client as well. So, we can turn our hand to most things.
Chris, that's great. Thanks again for your insights today. If you want to know more about how Chris and the team can support your next procurement project, then you can get in touch via the website, shoresea.co.uk. Thanks for listening.